Shalom, friends. Every Passover, Jews welcome a very special supernatural guest into our homes. He'll be at your seder and everybody else's. It's called multitasking. Let's learn about this fan-favorite spiritual being, Eliyah-who, Elijah the prophet. There is no character, no figure as widely beloved across thousands of years of Jewish storytelling, Jewish lore, as Eliyah-who. He had a lot of different phases, different eras, so here's a little eras tour. We first encounter him in the Tanakh. He was in his zealot phase, not gonna lie, not my favorite, but to each their own, who am I to judge? He was known at the time for doing things like controlling the weather, getting his meals airdropped to him by Raven, trolling idolatrous priests by telling them to cry harder, snowflake, pioneering the use of the prototype Jewish space laser, and possibly inventing CPR. Some legends never die, and Elijah was one of them. Instead, he pieces out to heaven in a fiery chariot in the midst of a whirlwind, a biblical phenomenon known as flexing. At this point, Elijah gets some new roles, some new responsibilities. He is one of several extremely sought-after instructors at Heaven's Institute of Very Higher Learning, Yeshiva Shel Ma'ala. He's also God's messenger and mediator. And for that, he's got to travel around the globe with alacrity. Yes, faster than a fire chariot even, yes. It only takes him 4 swoops to cover the whole earth. I mean, how did you think he was getting to everybody's seder on time? And everyone's breasts. It's in his contract. If we want to talk Angel Olympics, technically speaking, Michael is fastest, Gabriel is second, and then Eliyah-who gets the bronze. Unless it's during a time of plague, in which case the Angel of Death chugs a Monster energy drink. We all know that's what it was. We all know that's what he drinks. And then he becomes the fastest, and Eliyah-who gets knocked off the podium does not even make it to the press conference. In the Talmud, Elijah pops up in the chat all the time, usually to teach important ethical and rabbinic lessons, or convey a message from God. Sometimes he's there to answer the questions of the sages, and sometimes it is to save them from dangerous situations in truly creative ways, because he's a little bit of a trickster. He can shape shift. Sure, sometimes he pulls up in the guise of an old man giving Jewish Gandalf, which is iconic, do not get me wrong. But he has also appeared as a sex worker, a terrifying fire bear, and a Roman. What can I say? He's got a sense of humor, unlike his intern Alicia. God. Now, occasionally, Eliyah-who does get annoyed with some of the Talmudic sages. Like the time Rav Kahana was trying to escape speaking to a woman and he fell off a roof, and then Eliyah-who had to leave brunch with Metatron mid-chew and speed over to catch Rav Kahana before he hit the ground. Eliyah-who often preaches calmness, but is he calm? Gehenna, no. His D&D alignment is chaotic good.
Emphasis on the chaos.
We can trace the continuing adventures of Eliyah-who down through Talmud and Midrash out into the diaspora across folklore and song. We tell stories of Eliyah-who as a giver of unexpected gifts, a miracle worker coming in clutch for the impoverished, suffering, depressed, and downtrodden. He pretty much invented the whole hidden tzaddik thing. Is Eliyah-who an SJW? Discuss. Now, if you know the Exodus story we retell at Passover, you know Elijah's not in it. He wasn't even brought into the Seder at all until like the 11th century. At that point, it became tradition to ritually open the door and invite him in and offer him his own glass of wine. According to the Tanakh, Eliyah-who will actually be the one to sound the shofar and herald the arrival of Mashiach. He'll also be resurrecting Moses, getting the Ark of the Covenant out of the warehouse that Steven Spielberg put it in, answering all the questions about the meaning of life and Jewish practice that we just simply don't know yet. Luckily, there aren't that many unanswered questions, just a few billion, and one of them is, how many cups of wine are we supposed to actually drink on Passover? We think it's 4, and we might be right, but we might be wrong. It's a machloket. Luckily, Eliyah-who will be the one to tell us. I'm going to go ahead and bet right now that he's going to say it's 4 if it's Manischewitz, but it's 5 if it's Bartanora. When you think about it, Elijah the prophet might be in disguise as anyone. So if you're having a really hard time this holiday, that's understandable, firstly, and someone does something incredibly nice for you out of the blue, and you think to yourself, wow, do you think that was Eliyah-who? Was that Elijah the prophet? It might have been, especially if the person who helped you was a fiery bear with an OnlyFans account.